Imagine, in 742, a child was born on the fractured lands of Europe. He entered a world soaked in blood, tasked with a destiny that would change the fate of his family and his people. He was not just the heir to a kingdom. He would unite all of Europe, bring fragmented empires under one power, and would later be remembered in history as Charlemagne, the father of Europe. He did not only conquer in battles, he established schools for education, created laws and administrative systems, and transformed people's lives at their core. But his life was not only filled with victories, it was full of intrigues, betrayals, and dangers. In this video, we will explore Charlemagne's greatness, the secrets of his personal life, and how he changed the course of Europe. Get ready for a story that will leave you in awe. Fact 1. Birth and family. Charlemagne was born in 742 near Aachen, in what is today the border region between Belgium and Germany. His birth was not just a family event, it was a moment that would shape the future of Europe. His father, Pippin the Short, was the king of the Franks and began raising young Charlemagne not only as an heir, but also as a future emperor. His mother, Bertrada of Leon, was intelligent, politically astute, and a strong woman who played a crucial role in shaping Charlemagne's upbringing. From an early age, Charlemagne grew up in a harsh and challenging environment. He learned politics and military strategy from his father and other leaders around him. This family and environment laid the foundation for the power and leadership that would one day unite all of Europe. Fact 2. Childhood and early years. Charlemagne's childhood was far from easy. Growing up in a fractured Europe, this young heir was not content with being just the son of a king. He faced a challenging path toward greatness. His father, Pippin the Short, prepared him from an early age in both the art of warfare and the intricacies of political strategy. Even as a child, he traveled through various provinces, observing the actions of local rulers and learning how the kingdom functioned. These journeys were not just for education, they taught Charlemagne how to make the right decisions as a future emperor and how to protect power and influence. His mother, Bertrada, stood out in his upbringing with her wisdom and keen political sense. She taught him not only morals and etiquette, but also how to understand people and evaluate their behavior. Young Charlemagne was also constantly in competition with his siblings and close associates. This rivalry shaped him into a strong, determined, and resolute leader from an early age. He learned that leadership was not just about force, but also about clever diplomacy and strategy. Thus, his childhood and youth formed Charlemagne's character. He was not only a warrior, but also an intelligent, thoughtful, and prepared leader destined to become a future emperor. Fact 3. Personal rule over 790 cities and towns. Charlemagne was not only great in battles and politics, he also managed his empire with extraordinary order and a system under his personal supervision. Historians say his empire encompassed over 790 cities and towns, and not a single province, city, or village escaped his attention. He did not merely appoint kings and local rulers. Charlemagne personally oversaw each region's economy, tax system, defense, and legal framework. To manage his empire more effectively, he sent out missions, inspected provincial leaders, and carefully analyzed their reports. The life of each city, the functioning of markets, the condition of agriculture, and even the daily routines of peasants were important to him. This was not just a display of power, it was a genuine effort to improve the lives of every citizen. Managing such vast territories personally showcased Charlemagne's rare leadership abilities. He demonstrated genius not only in warfare and diplomacy, but also in governance. His empire was not just made up of vast lands and armies, it was an efficient, structured, and orderly system for everyone. Fact 4. Height and physical appearance. Charlemagne's physical appearance complemented his leadership and historical greatness. According to historical sources, he was approximately 2 meters tall, an extraordinary height for medieval Europe, where the average person stood around 1.65 to 1.7 meters. This made Charlemagne truly stand out among others. His height was not just about appearance, it strengthened his presence. On the battlefield, when leading armies, anyone who faced him immediately recognized his power. His impressive height and broad shoulders were both a symbol of physical intimidation and leadership. Moreover, Charlemagne had a strong and healthy physique. From a young age, he focused on combat training and physical fitness, making him formidable both in battle and daily life. Historical records mention his muscular build, wide shoulders, and firm handshake, traits that made him both a legendary leader and a feared opponent. Thus, Charlemagne's height and physical appearance were not merely aesthetic. They were a symbol that reinforced his authority and imperial image, leaving a lasting impression on everyone who encountered him. Fact 5. Literacy and love of learning. Unlike many leaders of his time, Charlemagne did not rely solely on strength and military skill. He believed in the power of knowledge and education. Historical sources indicate that Charlemagne himself could not fully read, especially Latin texts and books. Yet this never diminished his desire to learn. Even at an older age, he continued striving to improve his literacy. Education played a central role in his life. He established schools across his empire, invited priests and teachers, and ensured that the younger generation gained knowledge. He even kept personal tutors at his court and worked with them daily. He did not focus solely on his own learning. Charlemagne also emphasized the importance of education to provincial leaders, military commanders, and the general populace. The schools and libraries he initiated helped preserve numerous works of science and art. This aspect of Charlemagne's genius shows that he was not only a strong warrior and ruler, but also a leader who fought for knowledge. History remembers him not just as an emperor, but also as a pioneer of education and intellectual development in Europe. Fact 6. Multilingualism and communication skills. One of Charlemagne's remarkable traits was his multilingual ability. He was not only a powerful warrior and ruler, but also a leader capable of building bridges among people. Historical sources indicate that he understood Latin, French, German, and several local dialects. Interestingly, he was not fully fluent in all these languages. He mainly spoke his native Frankish. Nevertheless, his multilingualism was a golden advantage in diplomacy and governing his empire. His territories were vast, home to diverse ethnic groups, languages, and cultures. Charlemagne could communicate directly with these groups, not just through interpreters, but by understanding their languages himself. This earned him immense trust, as people felt he understood them and respected their cultures. His skill also played a crucial role in diplomacy. On missions, for example, he would review agreements in Latin and then explain them in Frankish to the parties involved. This avoided misunderstandings and showcased him as a clever and experienced leader. Multilingualism was also vital for internal governance. Provincial leaders, city officials, and commanders in villages could understand his directives and implement laws correctly. Historians note that Charlemagne's multilingual ability was a critical factor in uniting and sustaining his empire over time. Fact 7. Personal life and family. Charlemagne's personal life was as fascinating and complex as his empire. Historical sources indicate that he was officially married 4 times and fathered a total of 18 children. Among these children were both legitimate heirs and illegitimate offspring, each of whom influenced the future politics of the empire. His marriages were not merely about love or personal attachment. They were strategic moves to secure political alliances and the stability of his empire. Each marriage strengthened Charlemagne's ties with various provinces and kingdoms. Moreover, Charlemagne's personal life was filled with intrigues and family conflicts. Rivalries with his siblings, children, and close associates often complicated his decisions in both politics and personal relationships. As an emperor, he had to act not only as a leader on the battlefield, but also as the head of a complex family. This personal complexity shaped Charlemagne into a more resilient and strategically minded leader, making him intelligent in both governance and diplomacy. His life demonstrates that great power and empire do not come with a simple personal life. Rather, behind every great leader lies a complicated and dramatic personal story. Fact 8. Religious belief and church relations. Charlemagne was not only a warrior and ruler, but also a leader with deep religious faith. He placed Christianity at the center of both his personal life and his empire, and this was evident in every action he took. For Charlemagne, faith was not just a personal belief, it was a strategic tool for uniting and stabilizing his empire. During his time, Europe was divided by various religions and cultures, but Charlemagne used Christianity as a unifying force. He worked closely with the church, establishing monasteries, churches, and religious schools. This was not only for religious education, but also a step toward intellectual and social development. Charlemagne's religious devotion also strengthened his relationship with the Pope of Rome. In 800, when the Pope unexpectedly crowned him emperor, Charlemagne's influence in the Christian world reached its peak. This act was both a political and religious symbol. His authority was now supported not only by land and armies, but also by a divine mandate. He also paid great attention to implementing religious laws and moral principles. Charlemagne commanded provincial leaders and citizens to follow Christian principles, encouraged religious festivals, and promoted ceremonies. In doing so, he appeared not only as a political leader, but also as a spiritual guide. Thus, Charlemagne's faith completed his character and empire. He combined power and belief, playing a central role in both the material and spiritual construction of Europe. Fact 9. Nighttime precaution and the sword. Charlemagne was cautious not only on the battlefield, but also in his personal life. Historical sources indicate that he kept a sword by his side even while sleeping. This was not merely a habit. The emperor lived under constant threat of assassination and betrayal. Intrigues within the palace and schemes by rivals put his life at risk at all times. Therefore, Charlemagne kept himself always prepared, never letting go of his sword. This detail highlights both his physical strength and his constant vigilance as a leader. Charlemagne's power relied not only on his armies, but also on his personal readiness and precautions. Fact 10. Death in the empire's division. In 814, Charlemagne passed away at the age of 72. His death was not just the loss of a man. It marked a major turning point in the political landscape of Europe. The empire he had built during his lifetime had existed as a unified and stable state due to his power and leadership. However, with his absence, the stability began to weaken. Charlemagne's sons and heirs were not as strong in governing the empire as he had been. As a result, the empire was divided into three main parts, each ruled by its own leader. This division marked the beginning of a new era on Europe's political map. The unity of Charlemagne's empire was never restored. His death and the empire's fragmentation demonstrated that a leader's power depends not only on his skill, but also on his personal presence. Even though Charlemagne had heirs, his passing profoundly changed the future of the empire. Historians note that, although Charlemagne died, his legacy in culture, law, education, and diplomacy endured in Europe for centuries and left an unforgettable mark in history. Charlemagne's story shows us that true leadership is more than battles and power. It's vision, knowledge, and dedication to your people. If you enjoyed uncovering the life of Europe's father, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more amazing historical journeys. Your support helps us bring history to life, one story at a time.